students, to our visiting professor, our great team, and I'm very happy. This is the to start again with this workshop. This is our second appointment for us, and the idea for today is we thought that it would be interesting to meet here all together for a very short introduction, 20 minutes, no more, and then all the students will be split in the different virtual room to work with your specific visiting professor. And before to do that, we thought that it was interesting to share some information about the organization of our our workshop. First, I would like to underline 4 points to clarify some aspects for the students. And again, as we told you in the first appointment, this workshop we will organize in a remotely way, but at the same time we have some classroom at the Politecnico where the students, if you want, if there are some students in this moment in Milan that prefer to work in the university and not to stay at home, you're totally free to come at Politecnico, and there will be 5 different classrooms that you can find in this moment. I don't remember that you can find in the website. Julia, I don't remember in this moment the name of the code of the different classroom.
I can type in the chat in
okay.
Second.
They are in the building number 11. All the 5 different classrooms are quite close to each other. So if the students want to stay at Politecnico, you can. Hola, Hervé. Hi.
Hola.
Hi, Hervé. Good
Excuse me. Sorry.
No, don't worry. We started 3 seconds ago. No more.
Okay, perfect.
And the idea for today is only to share some general information about the organization, and then to split the students in the 5 different groups. Okay, this was the first topic, the first issue, the first argument that I would like to clarify. The second of the days, of course, after this afternoon, we will meet again on Friday 12th for the intensive period, and we will work starting from the morning, 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning. You will meet in the virtual room directly with your professor, and we will work all together until Saturday 20th. Saturday 20, there will be the final event in the morning, and during the final event, you will have the opportunity with your professor to present the project that you have done. And the last point that I would like to underline is that let me share 1 second my screen. Okay. Okay, sorry. That considering the great opportunity to have our 5 visiting professors, we ask them to share their project with us through some speed talks. And for this reason, we organize 5 speed talks during the workshop, starting on Friday 12, with Sebastian in the afternoon. Then we will have on Monday a second speed talks by Donatella Fioretti, And then there will be the third one with Hervé Dubois, Roberto Cavallo, and the last one will be made by Jose Maria Sanchez Garcia. I think that this is also a great opportunity also to share with all the students of the workshop some specific experience, a specific project made by our 5 visiting professor, and thanks to them a lot for sharing this, for sharing with us these projects. And now I would like to ask to Giulia and Martino I'm going to stop to share my screen. Okay, I would like to ask to Giulia perhaps to underline and to present all the material that we sent to the students.
Yeah, thank you, Camille. And then maybe with Martino we can discuss about the program and the requirements. Yeah. Okay, perfect. I just share the screen. Because we have sent to all the students a link with a OneDrive folder in which you can find basically all the material that we were thinking are a good basis, let's say, to start the workshop. As you can see, they're very simple. It's a very simple organization. You can find the WG file of the site in Porta Romana. You can find the 3D model in the second folder. The third one about the site is slightly more complex, and you can see that there are from the lower part 2 folder with images, with picture made by photographer that have captured Porta Romana rail yard, and of course you can also use it as a let's say possible survey if you won't be able to go to the site. There are some paintings that are referring to the let's say to the idea of the rail yard, historical picture from the different historical phases of the site, and historical maps that you have for sure seen during the first introduction that we did on the 20th of January, presented by Anna Lucia Derchia. She has prepared and take out all the images in high resolution, so you can use also this material as a base for the work. And you have an aerial image of the site. Maybe it's taking a bit of time to load it, that you can also use to have an idea of the scale of the rail yard related to the city of Milan. Going ahead, there is a folder of the analysis. Here you have diagrams that are located the Porta Romana rail yard in the loop of the 7 abandoned rail yard that are under renovation by the municipality, a scheme of the accessibility of the Porta Romana that you have also seen in the lecture, and an axonometry of the site. Then you have a couple of images from the rail yard, and not only for the Porta Romana, but also some diagram that were explaining in a comparative way the other rail yard. Now you see Farini, Greco, and for the Porta Romana one, you have also a kind of interpretation, a scheme of the most relevant aspect of the site. The last part are some redrawings that has been presented on the lecture, and they are following some historical thresholds that are basically being able to see how the city of Milan has been developed, and also what has been the role of the Porta Romana rail yard during the transformation in the year. So also this material are taking out from the different historical phases, so you can refer to it for the beginning of your work. Then there is a folder of that we have called the requirements, and it's more related about the functional program. And I think I will leave the floor to Martino Mocchi, that will explain this part better at the end. The last two parts are very important on one side, because we have decided to take out a bibliography. Here I can try to open and see if it's possible to see it from the screen. You have a bibliography here that is based on the place of Porta Romana. So there are books that you can also find in the library that are basically related to the development of the city of Milan. Some of them are really famous: the Finetti, the Grandi Pacchi, and also some books of the contemporary Milan, in which you can find maps and documents related to the city. And then we have also built up a bibliography that works on the topic, so precisely on the theme of the workshop of this year. And we have divided this work within three topics, let's say two, because one part is related to the mega events, and you can also see a paper, a document from Martin Müller that was part of the opening day of the 20th of January. And I would also recall you the link of the seminar series that has been organized on the mega events and the city by Davide Ponzini, Zachary Jones, Nicole De Togni, and Stefano Di Vita, that we have also presented last time. And then we have also thought that it was important to set up a bibliography on Milan today. What are the, let's say, transformations that are going on in Milan? Of course, Porta Romana is one of the main projects that are going on in the city, and we have selected a couple of magazines that have issued specific number of Milan, and an article into a magazine by Gabriele Pasqui, and a book by Corina Morandi that was studying the great transformation of Milan at the urban scale. We think it was important to give you some materials related to the bibliography, but also, I mean, most of the material are, as you can see, drawing and images. The last document is the booklet. I'm not opening it, but you can find in the booklet all the materials that we have divided in the folder, and is in a way the guideline, you know, to start the work in the workshop today and in the upcoming days. I mean, for me, it's over. I don't know if there are questions from. I mean, I think all the students have received. I've sent the link to all the students. If, of course, there are some issue, I ask the other student to send and to share the material. It's an open folder on OneDrive, so you should be able to access it very easily. Maybe I don't know if Martino is here.
Yes, I'm here, Giulia.
Okay, I leave you the floor.
Thank you very much. I can share my screen with a short presentation I have prepared. Should be. Allora. Like this. My screen. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So thank you very much. I will take very few minutes for illustrating you the functional program. I guess this presentation won't be that exciting or stimulating, but I hope it's going to be clear for maybe clarifying some aspects of the functional program. We have received some questions expressing some doubts about some aspects of the functional program, so I will try to illustrate you the way in which we have developed in order to establish a basis for working together with the same rules. So the first point is to consider the documents that are at the basis of the definition of the functional program. Three main documents that are the PGT of Milan, so the Piano di Governo del Territorio, that express the general rules for the development of the city. The second one, that is the most important one, is the Accordo di Programma, so the agreement signed in 2017 between the municipality and Ferrovie dello Stato, that is the owner of the rail yard of Porta Romana, not only of the rail yard of Porta Romana, but all the system of the rail yards in Milan. So this agreement was very important and comes at the end of a very long process of discussion between the two parts, because it regulates the development of a very important part of Milan, including more or less 1 million square meters, all disposed in the first peripheral strip of the city. The third document that we have to consider is the document produced in 2020 for the candidature for Olympic Winter Games of Milano Cortina 2026. In this document in particular is presented the Olympic Village with the quantity and the amount of square meters that it requires. So these are the three main documents, plus one that is more recent and that are the guidelines for the competition opened almost 1.5 months ago for the definition of the master plan for this area. Now we have reached the end of the first phase. So they have selected 7 projects, and the second phase will be open in some months. So in this document in particular, there are a bit more indications about that enter more in detail in the requalification of this area. We have to assume that all these documents converge to the same points, so the quantities that they express are the same, apart from a very small difference regarding the presence or not of the train station inside or outside the area. But I mean, for defining our functional program, we can also not to consider this very small difference. So starting from these documents, we have outlined the most important quantities. So we are dealing with a surface that is almost 187,000 square meters. Half of this area has to be maintained as green area, and the overall amount of gross area that we can put into this plot is 164,000 square meters. These are the very general indication. Starting from this, we arrive to produce this table that probably is responsible for some misunderstandings in the last days. So I would like to enter more in detail in illustrating this table in order to let you better understand what does all these numbers mean. In the bottom part of the slide, you see some possible representations of the volumes, of course. And here in the middle, highlighted, you see the line corresponding to the Porta Romana amount of volumes that can be produced for this area. So the first thing is to divide the table into 3 parts that we're going to see more in detail. The first one concerns the surface of the overall plot. The second one concerns the free gross floor areas. And the third one, the subsidized housing. Okay, so let's enter into the first part. The overall surface, you see also my pointer, correct? Probably yes. So the overall surface of the plot is 216,000 square meter. This is the overall amount if we consider everything inside this plot. As you can see, the number is expressed here. The first distinction that we have to do is between the so-called functional area and the land area. The functional areas represent some part of this plot that will remain owned by Ferrovie dello Stato, so will be dedicated to all the facilities like binaries, platforms, and whatever that are required for the movement of the train in the middle of the area. You know for sure that in the middle of the passes the train, and so these functional areas will be maintained for this reason. So we cannot consider these square meters as useful for including buildings or other facilities. So what remains is the land area, that is 187,000 square meters. That, of course, is the overall surface minus the functional area, okay? The 50% of the surface has to be maintained as green area, so more or less 93,000 square meters. Okay, this is the first part. If we want to enter a bit more in detail into the functional area, these are some indications that comes from the guidelines for the competition. So you can see from the plan that the functional area is concentrated in the middle, in the longitudinal section of the plot. And if you look at the section, you see that a part of it is underground and covered by the movement of the soil. So now we have to consider the land area, so the remaining part. The first indication is about the total gross floor area that we can put inside this plot that corresponds to 164,000 square meters. Okay, the first distinction that we have to do is between the surface dedicated to the free housing and facilities. That is the red part, as you can see here. That is the 68% of the overall gross floor area, and specifically is 112 more or less thousand square meters. Among those, almost 5,000 has to be dedicated to non-residential functions, so offices, commercial, and whatever. Okay, so this is the second part of the table. And then we arrive to the third one, that is maybe a bit, I won't say complicated, but let's say articulated. And so we are now considering within this chart the blue part that is dedicated to subsidized housing. The overall amount of square meters dedicated to subsidized is this number, so 51.85 thousand square meters. And if we look at the table, the distinction that we have to do is between these two columns. So the first one indicates the number of square meters dedicated to ordinary subsidized, that is 17,000 meters, and the second one that is almost double, dedicated to social housing. Okay, the last three columns express distinction among the square meters dedicated to social housing. So you can see them here. I guess that at this phase of the project, probably we can consider all these 51.85 as, let's say, square meter treated in the same way. It's, I guess it's not necessary to enter such in deep into the distinction of this gross floor area. Okay, so this was the third part of the table. I hope that after this illustration it's a bit more clear. The last point I would like to show you is about the Olympic Village. We have no specific indication apart from the one coming from the document produced for the Olympic candidature of Milano Cortina. In that document are expressed just the overall quantity, so the number of room and beds that are required for hosting for hosting all the athletes and the people coming for the Olympic Games, that are more or less 700 rooms divided into single and double, as you can see here, for hosting almost 1,300 people. In the first phase, as you probably know, these facilities will be dedicated to the Olympic Games. In a second phase, will be converted into student housing facilities. I have to specify that all the Olympic Village will be included. We need to consider it like a part of the square meters dedicated to the social housing. So we don't need to add the space for the Olympic Village to the overall amount of the gross floor area that we have, but the Olympic Village will be included as a part of the social housing. There are no other specific indications. These are just very general representations coming from the guidelines for the competition. As you can see here, it's not a master plan, but just a representation of the volumes. This is a possibility, but this is another one. There's no requirements about that up to the point they arrive to select the final master plan. So at this step, we are totally free to put the facility dedicated to the Olympic Village everywhere in this plot. That's all for me. I hope after this short presentation, the functional program is clearer. If you have question, I'm not sure I can answer, but you can try to ask for sure.
Thanks, Martino. It's very clear. This document is included in the Google Drive or not?
A sort of. I have improved it for this presentation, but I will share it with you for sure now.
Okay, thanks. Because I think that it could be useful for everybody to have this document. Okay, I would like to invite our professor or students if there is some question. I would like only to ask one simple thing. We asked to Martino to prepare this presentation, but at the same time, I would like to clarify to the student, to everybody, that this is only a reference for us. Of course, in the university, we are totally free to do what we want. In which sense? I mean, we can consider the program as something to consider 100%. At the same time, we are totally free to offer a critical view of this program. There is also this option if you want, and or to consider like a general overview. I mean, I would like only to underline that is only a little reference that perhaps is it could be a point from the municipality, but we are totally free to consider this program as something that we can also criticate. I mean, we can also consider something to manage it. Okay. Is there some question?
Just want to thank you for this clarification, because I think that's maybe it's a good basis for to criticize eventually, but just to understand exactly. So how big is the volume that we require to bring there? Maybe we can decide it's too much, it's not really interesting. 50% of free area is ridiculous, let's say, I don't know. And but I think that was for me very useful to understand as first of all the task, the goal of the city, and then on this basis we are free to criticize it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Donatella. And of course, only for to insert this final result in the historical discussion of our city, I think that we arrived to this number after 8 or 9 years fighting between the municipality, the rail yard government, and only 1 second, only to discuss. Ferrovie dello Stato, it's a public institution like the municipality, and about this relationship between two public institutions fighting together, there has been a very important discussion in political discussion. But I think that is not so relevant for our project. It's only, I think, something interesting to discuss for perhaps for the final day. Okay, everything is okay. Great. So I think that we can split in the different virtual room, and good luck for for the workshop. Buon lavoro a tutti. And thanks a lot to the students, first of all, and to our professor to be involved in this great experience. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Yeah.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Allora, adesso abbiamo registrato, la chiudiamo.